galactic systems obeyed them, unlocking gates, clearing traffic, as if humanity had never left. The patrol sent one final desperate message: the graveyard breathes. The Terrans are awake. Storm against the modern sky. What followed was not war, it was revelation. The Council, panicked, dispatched entire battle groups to contain the anomaly. They entered with confidence, their ships sleek, their technology refined by centuries. Yet against the Terran armada they looked fragile. For every modern ship, a dozen human vessels stirred. For every barrage of energy, a countermove unfolded that seemed written in prophecy. Terran weapons were not brighter or louder, but heavier, older, with a resonance that shattered shielding as though it were paper. Missiles that should have decayed centuries ago struck with precision deadlier than any modern AI. Even their smallest escorts moved with uncanny grace, like predators long starved but never weakened. And all the while the humans did not speak, not a single broadcast of voice, only silence broken by the thunder of engines. The Council fleets faltered, not annihilated but humbled, held at the edge of destruction, forced to watch as the sky filled with vessels they had declared dead. The message was clear: you are not rulers, you are guests in a galaxy still haunted by us. The weight of aftermath. When the armadas finally withdrew, drifting back into their graveyard sanctuaries, engines dimming but not silent, the galaxy quivered in dread. Every archive was rewritten, every academy reeled. The certainty of a millennium had collapsed in hours. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity was not forgotten. Humanity had preserved its storms, burying them deep until the day came to rise again. The whispers spread, faster than light, heavier than truth. If this is what they left behind, what else waits in their silence? Were there other shipyards sleeping in nebulae, other armadas cocooned in ice, other arsenals buried beneath dead moons? The galaxy did not know. It only knew this: the humans had waited 1,000 years and still their engines roared. And the stars themselves seemed smaller in the shadow of that roar. Final whisper. In the deep beyond Council reach, a salvager recorded a fragment near the Perseus Drift. A voice, ancient, distorted, but unmistakably human. We were never gone, we were only waiting. The message ended. The galaxy trembled. And every admiral, every elder, every child knew. The silence had ended. They believed humanity was a myth. A tragic footnote in the endless annals of galactic history. Among the elder species of the Council worlds, humans were spoken of only in whispers, as a species that had burned itself out in a flare of violence and chaos. Some claimed Earth had been reduced to cinders by its own wars. Others said they simply vanished, unable to compete with the rising civilizations around them. The archives were unanimous in one thing: silence. For nearly 1,000 years, no signal had been traced to Sol. No expedition that wandered close ever returned with proof of life. Humanity's colonies had withered, their supply chains gone, their proud fleets lost to time. All that remained in the great academies of alien historians were cautionary lectures. Humanity had risen quickly, but lacked the patience to endure. To the young races, humanity was a curiosity. To the elders, they were a forgotten warning. And to the Council at large, they were nothing. No fleets. No voice. No presence. A dead world swallowed by time. So when the Council's exploratory probes began whispering of strange signals from the Orion Arm, no one cared at first. The chatter of derelicts, the electromagnetic ghosts of long-dead machines, this was common in the ruins of extinct species. But the signals persisted, stronger, stranger, Patterns emerged where chaos should have ruled. And though they would not admit it, unease began to stir. Echoes from the grave. It began with a survey expedition from the HFY hegemony. Their sensors had swept a region known locally as the Wastes of Orion, a sector of abandoned colonies and shattered habitats. The HFY expected salvage, scrap metal, radiation pits, perhaps a forgotten cache of ore. Instead, their instruments found silence so dense it was unnatural. No asteroids moving freely, no radiation scatter, just stillness. At the edge of a broken system, they detected vast structures orbiting a dead star. Hulks, they assumed, ship skeletons. The hegemony crew cataloged them lazily, calling them relics of humanity's final days. In their report they wrote, "The remains of Terran military ambition left to rust, impressive only in scale, irrelevant in function." But one sensor officer refused to file the data as ruin. He insisted the readings were too clean, power levels faint but organized, hulls aligned in precision, not chaos. And then the whisper came. A transmission, cracked, degraded, almost too faint to hear, but undeniably structured. A voice that seemed to repeat across the void. Stand by, awaiting signal." The aliens dismissed it as a ghost, a looped emergency broadcast. Yet they felt something colder than comfort, because the voice was not breaking apart into noise. It was steady. It was waiting. The first awakening. Weeks later, the region grew crowded. More factions sent their ships, eager to salvage or to confirm the myth. Scouts reported impossible readings, heat blooms where there should be none, reactor signatures reigniting in the dark. What had once been labeled graveyard now pulsed faintly like a slumbering heart. The Council dispatched a research fleet. They surrounded the derelict orbitals, scanning deeper. At first, the findings seemed mundane. Vast hangar bays filled with rust, dormant reactors sealed by centuries of silence. Yet when the teams pressed closer, the systems resisted intrusion. Docking clamps refused to release, though no power should have flowed. Security drones stirred, lights glowing like cold stars in forgotten corridors. And then, without warning, the engine spoke. The first warship stirred beneath the blackened sky. Its hull lit with pale blue veins as reactors long thought dead began to thrum. Dust and ice cascaded from its surface, shedding 1,000 years of stillness. The Council's vessels scrambled back in alarm as the ship, vast, angular, unmistakably Terran, ignited its main drives. It had not been dead. It had only been waiting. Engines of the dead. Panic swept the Council fleet. Their commanders shouted orders, unsure if this was attack or accident, but the answer came in the form of movement. From the dark, hundreds of hulls stirred. Frigates, cruisers, carriers, giants of steel and shadow. Their paint was long scoured away, their armor scarred by wars no living alien remembered, yet they woke in perfect unison. Engines roared like thunder across the void. Drives flared bright, eclipsing the stars. What had looked like wreckage aligned into battle formations as though centuries had been no more than seconds. Each vessel broadcast the same message in ancient Terran code. Systems nominal, fleet integrity holding, awaiting command. The alien ships were paralyzed. Their computers struggled even to translate the code. It was old, archaic, but precise, and still recognized by modern encryption suites. Humanity's protocols had not decayed. They had endured. When the first Terran dreadnought turned its broadside toward the Council vessels, the galaxy finally understood. This was not a ruin. It was a fleet. The storm unleashed. Chaos erupted. The Council ships attempted communication, pleading, broadcasting every known language. No reply came, save the cold, efficient exchange of data between Terran vessels. The graveyard did not see intruders, it saw a battlefield. Gunports cracked open. Weapon arrays rotated with mechanical precision. When the first test volley fired, the void shook. Lances of plasma and railshot ripped through a Council escort, cleaving it in two before its shields registered impact. The aliens fled in disarray, their fleets scattering like prey before a predator that should not exist. But the Terran ships did not pursue blindly. They moved with discipline, forming kill zones, interlocking fire arcs, pressing their advantage as if a human admiral still commanded them. 1,000 years buried, and yet their tactics outclassed everything the galaxy had built since. Where modern ships relied on centralized command, the Terran vessels fought as a single mind. Their targeting was flawless, their coordination absolute. To face them was to face inevitability. The galaxy realized too late. Humanity had not built fleets for an age. They had built storms to endure time itself. Whispers of dread. Word spread faster than the fleeing survivors. Across the stars, Council worlds trembled. The great academies rewrote their histories in haste. The species that had been dismissed, erased, buried under 1,000 years of silence, had never truly gone. They had waited. Why, none could answer. Some claimed it was insurance, a failsafe in case humanity fell. Others said it was arrogance, the belief that their fleets would outlast their civilization itself. But among the frightened whispers, one truth cut deeper than any speculation. If these ships, buried and forgotten, could still rise with such terrible strength, then what else had humanity left behind? What caches, what arsenals, what sleeping storms waited in the cold dark? The Council convened emergency sessions, arguing whether to seek peace or prepare for war. But in every chamber the same dread echoed.